What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Nerdy Professor podcast, where we talk about everything black, bold, and beautiful. Last episode, we took a look at Latin America from its beginnings to the slave trade. In this episode, we're going to talk about the first free black republic and the canon event that helped shape the Western Hemisphere into the world we know today. But first, let's talk about some anime. Plain and simple, the Western world would not have anime if it weren't for the god of manga, Tezuka Osamu, and his creation, Mighty Atom, later known as Astro Boy. Astro Boy hit the streets of the Western world in the 1960s, and the people loved it. During this time, kids in the West were obsessed with outer space and robots, so Astro Boy, with his nuclear flight and laser cannons, was right up their alley. The large-headed, big-eyed, big-mouthed character designs made the character seem more expressive, akin to what Disney was doing at the time as well. Below the surface, the show looked into themes of prejudice and what it means to be human. These themes raised their heads in history as well. So what does Haiti have to do with the beginning of anime in the West? Hey, quick commercial break. Running this podcast isn't easy or cheap. If you all would like to support the podcast, please visit my website at thenerdyprofessor.com. Thank you so much for listening. Now back to the show. Like Astro Boy, Haiti has gone by many names. In its origins, the indigenous Arawak people called it Haiti, meaning the land of high mountains. Then Hispaniola by the explorer Christopher Columbus. After that, the French took control and renamed the western portion of the island Saint-Domingue. After the revolution, they became Haiti. But let's back up a little bit. Haiti started like any other colony in the Western world, with European nations stripping the land for their resources, enslaving the indigenous people, and then bringing over enslaved Africans. The cash crops of Saint-Domingue were coffee, indigo, and of course, sugar. After the French took over, they began to import en pile slaves to work the cash crops. That was my best attempt at saying a lot in Haitian Creole. So let me tell you how many enslaved people were shipped to Saint-Domingue. The population grew to about 550,000, with 500,000 being the enslaved population. So much wealth was generated from Saint-Domingue that it was known as the Pearl of the Antilles. It produced 60% of the world's coffee and 40% of Britain and France's sugar. While the French were in Saint-Domingue, they maintained a class system. At the top were the Grands Blancs, or the Big Whites. They were the rich noblemen and plantation owners. They often lived in France, but they had people maintaining their property in the colony. Although their numbers were relatively small, they controlled a lot of land and therefore held much of the power in the colony. Next were the Petit Blancs, or Little Whites. They were the artisans, overseers, merchants, and day laborers. Overall, the Frenchmen who were not rich, but came to the colony to get rich. They had the right to vote, hold public office, and serve in local militias. They resented the Big Whites for their money and power, and thought themselves better than the free black population because, well, they were white. Speaking of the free people of color, they are the next class. Don't worry, I'm not going to assault your ears with a terrible French accent this time. This class was made up of ex-slaves, children of interracial relations, and free blacks. Colonial laws prohibited them from holding public office, entering certain professions, such as law or medicine, and even required them to wear specific French clothing that would distinguish them from whites. Some in this class even owned plantations with their own slaves. Lastly, there was the enslaved population of Saint-Domingue. Slavery in Saint-Domingue was brutal and had a high turnover rate. Between disease, mistreatment, and harsh working conditions, the enslaved population had a 6 to 10% annual mortality rate, with most of the deaths taking place on sugar plantation. So let me tell you a little bit about sugar plantations. Fertilizing sugarcane required enslaved Africans to carry 80 pounds of manure on their heads up and down hilly terrain. Remember the indigenous name? On top of that, during harvest season, they were regularly working for 48 hours straight because sugarcane goes bad within a day. They worked without sleep in the heat of sugar press houses, where cane would be crushed in hand rollers and boiled. Enslaved people would oftentimes get their hands caught in these rollers, and the overseer would be standing by with a hatchet to amputate the captured ones. So instead of, improving working conditions, the French imported more enslaved Africans from the West and Central Africa because it was cheaper. Roughly 1 million enslaved people died due to the colony's harsh working conditions. Of course, the enslaved population did not put up with this mistreatment. They resisted by working slowly, feigning ignorance on how to do tasks, running away, forming maroon colonies, poisoning slaveholders and their livestock. Actually, poisoning got so bad that the French government banned it. That's a story for another day. Nevertheless, the enslaved population found another form of resistance: arson. After Astro Boy, there were other anime that hit the Western world and became juggernauts in their space. Think about the all-powerful Sailor Moon and Pokemon. Ash's never-ending quest to be the best like no one ever was shaped generations. Shows like Yu Yu Hakusho, Rurouni Kenshin, and especially Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z defined shonen in the 90s. Each of these shows brought a distinct flavor to the martial arts tournament and heroic growth themes. But these shows were precursors, primers, kindling for the sparks that would set the anime world ablaze. What would become the Haitian Revolution was sparked by the death of Vincent OJ. OJ was a merchant and a free person of color who demanded that the colonial government grant free people of color the full rights stipulated in the March 1790 decree. The decree instructed colonies to create their own assemblies and allowed all citizens, quote unquote citizens, who met specific property and residency requirements to vote. So OJ tried to cash in his ballot, but the colonial powers refused to let him vote. OJ wasn't taking that. He raised a rebel force composed of free men of color and clashed with the colonial government. OJ was eventually captured and sentenced to death. On the 6th day of February in 1791, OJ was broken on the wheel, had his head cut off, and displayed on a pike for all to see. This act set in motion a storm that would take over Saint Domingue 6 months later. In the realm of anime, Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece was a storm that signaled a new era of anime in the West. These anime are referred to as the Big Three. This is because in the early 2000s and 2010s, they were undoubtedly the most hype. Each anime graced the front of Shonen Jump magazine week after week and ran for years. Each of these shows gave something unique to their audiences and built off the models of their predecessors. Naruto originally aired from 2002 to 2007 with 220 episodes, and then it followed up with Naruto Shippuden for another 500 episodes running from 2007 to 2017. This anime follows the outcast child Naruto, who lives in a ninja village and has high aspirations. He wants to become Hokage, or basically the president of the village. The audience gets to follow the hero as he grows, and the show follows him in a coming-of-age type of story. And who doesn't like ninjas? Naruto has a deep lore and elaborate hand-to-hand combat, but definitely skip the filler arcs. The manga is a lot better in terms of pacing as well. The next anime, Bleach, is just so damn cool. From the character designs, the sword designs, the music, the plot twist, just chef's kiss. This anime follows teenager Ichigo Kurosaki. He turns into a Soul Reaper, or Shinigami, where his job is to defeat evil spirits. He is thrust into a world of afterlife politics, insane battles, and adventures. Bleach makes its mark with a more supernatural urban fantasy tone and takes some inspiration from Yu Yu Hakusho. Bleach originally aired in 2004 and ran until 2012, spanning 366 episodes. It has also gained some renewed hype because of the new 1000-Year Blood War arc that began airing in 2022 and is still ongoing. Now, the last one, One Piece, follows Monkey D. Luffy and his crew of pirates as they search for the ultimate treasure, the One Piece, and to fulfill his dream to become the Pirate King. One Piece does a masterful job of telling some of the most emotionally heavy stories, but keeps the air of hope and rebellion abundant. It is also still running. The anime originally aired July 22nd, 1997, and now has over 1,000 episodes with more to come. These three shows completely eclipsed others in terms of popularity and influence. They served as a gateway anime for a massive global audience. This gateway was a perfect storm, similar to the clouds looming on one fateful summer night, a night that would change the Western world. Much like the Big Three changed the landscape of anime, the Haitian Revolution would change the landscape of the world. 1791. The enslaved population of Saint-Domingue came together for one last strategy meeting. Thousands of slaves attended this secret voodoo ceremony as a tropical storm crept closer the lightning and thunder being taken as a good omen. The signal to begin the revolt had been given by Duddy Bookman, a high priest of voodoo and leader of the Maroon slaves, and Cecil Fatima, voodoo priestess, during a religious ceremony at Boys Cayman on the night of August 14th. 7 days later, under the cover of darkness and an impending storm, the enslaved Africans began their assault, burning plantations and killing slave masters, plunging the colony into a civil war. The initial uprising was a success. The free people of color were blamed, then they blamed the big whites, but overall, no one believed the enslaved population could concoct such a sophisticated plan. In the midst of all this fighting, a new leader came to the forefront. Toussaint Louverture was a former slave, now a free person of color, who joined the revolution. Toussaint would go on to fill Bookman's role as a leader after his death in November 1791. Toussaint opened negotiations with the colonial government, offering peace for the freedom of rebellion leadership and the end of the lashings on the plantations. Although the rebelling people probably wouldn't want to return to the plantations, and either way, the colonial government refused the best offer they were going to get. That's a damn shame. During this conflict, the Spanish would begin offering aid to the rebels in February 1793. The deal between the rebels and the Spanish was that they would abolish slavery and give up the French portion of the Pearl of the Antilles, and the Spanish would provide arms and recruit the leadership into the Spanish army. Now, on the other side, the big whites did not have faith in the French revolutionary government, so they invited the British to claim Saint-Domingue. Now, at this point, the French had a few too many enemies. With the British, the Spaniards, and the rebels at their throat, France abolished slavery in February 1794, at home and in all of their colonies. So now Toussaint flipped the script and sided with the French. He kicked out the Spanish and fought off the British from 1793 to 1798. The British ceded the portions of land that they had managed to capture by making a deal with France. Finally, the enslaved people had earned their freedom, but it would be tested time and time again. As the major leader of Saint-Domingue, Toussaint instituted a forced labor program to secure the island's economy. Obviously, this was not very popular among the newly freed people of Saint-Domingue, but under military supervision, they were sent back to work with meager pay and some rights like marriage. Lashings were also banned, and they were not sold off, but the conditions they worked in were the same. Make it make sense. From 1798 to 1800, Toussaint and his counterpart Andre Rigaud were locked in a civil war that would later be known as the War of Knives. Rigaud had control south of the Massif de la Sille, and Toussaint held control in the north. They were basically talking trash back and forth about each other, and it came to a head when Rigaud tried to assassinate Toussaint twice. Toussaint and Rigaud had it out, but it basically ended in a stalemate, and then Napoleon came into play. Napoleon took over the French consulate in 1799 and basically said he recognized Toussaint as the rightful leader, pushing Rigaud out, and the Civil War ended essentially overnight, with Rigaud ending up in exile. Also, Toussaint forced a guy named Sonthonax to return to France because he was getting too popular. This solidified Toussaint's role as leader, and it left him to take over the rest of the island. Now, Napoleon had big dreams, and those dreams would require wealth that Saint-Domingue had. Napoleon created a new constitution that said that the colonies shouldn't have the same rules as the mainland. They needed special laws. It was no secret that Napoleon wanted to reinstate slavery, and Toussaint wasn't having that. So in January 1801, Toussaint invaded the Spanish side of the island, freed the slaves, and consolidated his power over the island. By May of the same year, he adopted his own constitution, one that called for black autonomy, and decreed himself governor for life. Now, Napoleon certainly did not appreciate a brazen black man doing all but declaring independence. So he dispatched a large fleet of approximately 20,000 men with his brother-in-law Charles Leclerc at the helm, and worked with the US to blockade Saint-Domingue and its exports. Jean-Jacques Dessalines, one of Toussaint's top lieutenants, met Leclerc in battle in March 1802 at the Battle of Crête-à-Pierrot. Leclerc had Dessalines massively outnumbered, and the battle cost them both heavily. Dessalines, seeing defeat on the horizon, betrayed Toussaint and sided with Leclerc and the French. Toussaint, now with the odds stacked against him, surrendered to the French on May 5, 1802. under the specific conditions that slavery would not be restored and that he would be allowed a peaceful retirement. However, the French broke this agreement. They arrested him a month later and deported him to France, where he died in Fort de Joux in 1803. All was quiet in Saint-Domingue for a few months. The French had convinced the people of Saint-Domingue that they would not bring back slavery, but France brought back slavery on nearby islands like Guadeloupe. Since some of them may have been born at night but not last night, the people of Saint-Domingue took up arms against the French. Dessalines deserted Leclerc and became the leader of the revolution in October 1802. Leclerc was also abandoned by the Polish, who saw parallels with their fight for independence and the soon-to-be Haitians. At this point, Leclerc saw the only way to retake Saint-Domingue was to execute Order 66 and kill every black person in the colony over the age of 12. But before he could see that plan through, Leclerc died from yellow fever, like many in his fleet. His successor, Rochambeau, would see to it that Leclerc's final order would be carried out with so much vigor and enthusiasm. Rochambeau would turn Leclerc's brutality to 11. He received a shipment of man-eating dogs from Cuba and waged a near genocidal operation against the Haitians, killing everyone that was black in his path. Dessalines did not take this brutality, and he matched Rochambeau's cruelty. At Le Cap, Rochambeau hung 500 black people. Dessalines replied by killing 500 white people and sticking their heads on spikes all around Le Cap. Rochambeau's atrocities helped bring a lot of previous French loyalists to the cause of the rebels. After several clashes, the forces came to a head at the Battle of Vertières in November 1803, where the French were finally pushed from the island. The battle for their freedom ended as it began, under the cover of a fierce thunderstorm. On January 1st, 1804, the island would declare itself independent from France under its native-inspired name, Haiti. The proclamation of the first Black Republic would have a resounding effect around the world. Just like the anime that has permeated the Western world, Haiti's fight for freedom and the actions after the revolution permanently changed the Western world. The revolution struck at the heart of scientific racism. For example, in the United States, the Civil War was slowly emerging. Haiti's revolt and 1804 massacre had the enslavers shaking in their boots. In retaliation, the US implemented harsher laws. Also, because Haiti put up a fight, it drained France's pockets so much that Napoleon sold Louisiana to the United States, i.e. the Louisiana Purchase. Haiti and its revolution became a beacon of hope and inspired the New World to free itself. And the country acted as a haven to those looking to escape slavery, especially in Latin America. This new country struck at the heart of scientific racism. It showed that a black nation was possible and is viewed as early evidence of black agency and Pan-Africanism. This inspiration is similar to the way the Big Three in anime inspired a new generation of anime. The Big Three raised the bar for the industry, and because of that, we have shows like Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia, Attack on Titan, and Demon Slayer, shows with massive global audiences. Each of these shows evolved on what the Big Three brought to the table, just like Black thought and Black leadership evolved on what Haiti did to free itself. Alright y'all, that's it. Thank you for joining. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more of your favorite anime-infused Black history. Until next time, peace.